Most women quit their fat loss journey long before their body even has a chance to actually transform, simply because the number on the scale hasn't caught up yet. And what almost no one tells you is that this happens because most women have no idea what stage their body is actually in, and they misinterpret normal physiology as failure. They mistake progress for actual regression, and that's when they restart over and over without even realizing they're probably on the right track. So today I'm gonna walk you through 6 stages that your body goes through during body recomposition, especially stage 2, when most women think that this is weight gain. When is your body actually preparing for visible change? I'm also going to explain the exact mistakes that I made personally during each stage, because I've lived all of this. The confusion, the doubt, the panic, the overworking, and especially the self-blame. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right, stage 1, the neuromuscular adaptation stage. This stage almost seems quiet, invisible, and honestly anticlimactic. Why? Because your body isn't actually changing shape yet. You're still learning the movements, the exercises, how to stabilize, and how to recruit your muscle fibers efficiently. Your nervous system is calibrating with every rep, every set, and every movement pattern. And this stage is still real progress. It's just not visible progress. You'll feel stronger quickly, but you won't look different yet. And I want to validate something here, because I lived this part deeply. When I was in stage 1, I actually thought that I was failing. I looked in the mirror every single day and waiting for something to show, but guess what? Nothing did. And I actually convinced myself that nothing was happening, but I wasn't failing. I was simply in stage 1. Just because you're not seeing visible change doesn't mean change isn't actually happening. And most women quit here because they misinterpret the silence of this phase as stagnation. But if you're actually here, this is where the foundation is built. Now your only job here is to learn the movements, focus on your form, and stop punishing yourself for not having the before and after photo after the first week. And this sets the trap for the next stage, because sometimes stage 2 can look like weight gain even though it's not. Alright, stage 2, glycogen and inflammation shifts. Now stage 2 can be the most misunderstood stage in a woman's fitness journey, and this is the stage where your muscles begin to store more glycogen, which is simply your body stocking up on usable energy so that your workouts stop feeling like a struggle. And glycogen storage pulls water into the muscle, making your muscles look fuller, rounder, and more defined. So visually, you're actually starting to look a little bit better, but the scale might not confirm this. And sometimes the scale might even go up a little. And if you're a high achieving woman that loves data and metrics, that contradiction feels a bit like betrayal. And I remember spiraling here. I looked a little bit better in photos, but my weight stayed the same. And because nobody actually explained this to me, I interpreted this as a failure, and I almost quit. I literally thought something was wrong. But what I didn't understand was stage 2 was not regression. It's literally your body preparing for real recomposition. And stage 2 is a make or break point for like 90% of women. If you panic here, you're most likely going to quit and restart the process. Now, if you stay calm, your body actually transitions into the stage where your body starts to actually make changes. And stay with me here, because stage 3 is the first stage where the inside finally meets the outside. Alright, so if you're getting value and if you're a high achieving woman who wants to get leaner without burnout, punishing workouts, or extremely restrictive diets, then go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed. Everything on this channel is built to give you clarity, structure, and a system that actually works with your biology and not against it. Alright, stage 3, the metabolic shift and early recomposition. This is the bridge between nothing is actually happening to actually I'm starting to see some changes. And in stage 3, your metabolism begins to start shifting. Your body starts to build that muscle tissue, and your energy production becomes more efficient. Your body finally begins to tap into that fat storage as a steady energy source. Now, you still might not lose a dramatic amount of weight on that scale, but I promise you, your clothes are going to start to begin to look and feel different. Your waist feels a little bit smaller. Your shoulders start to look a little bit more round. You feel firmer, tighter, and even stronger without feeling lighter. And I remember the stage so clearly. I used to look at myself in the mirror and think, why do I look better? But the scale has barely moved at all. But this stage triggers the perfectionist urge. You'll feel progress, but it won't feel fast enough. And you'll be tempted to add in those extra workouts, cut more calories, or try to hack your results. And this is where high achieving women tend to self-sabotage. If you push too hard, you're not going to speed things up. You'll actually drive yourself into to a plateau. And we'll talk about this in stage 5. But right now, your only job is steady consistency, not intensity. Because stage 3 is gonna set the foundation for stage 4, which is where the visible transformation really happens. Stage 4, the recomposition overlap. Right, stage 4 is the stage that every woman obviously wants. It's the finally I see it stage. But not a lot of people typically reach this stage because they simply give up in the earlier stages of the process. And this is where fat loss and muscle gain begin to overlap so clearly that your entire silhouette actually starts to change. Your waist tightens, those glutes start to lift, your shoulders actually develop shape, your legs actually become more defined, and your stomach flattens, even if the scale is barely moving. When I actually reached this stage, it was the first time that I actually realized that the scale can be deceiving. I stayed at the same number for weeks, but I look like a completely different person in photos. However, I say this with love. Stage 4 also tempts women to push even harder than they need to, diet even more extreme, and train even more. And this is where women think, if I'm actually getting results now, imagine how much better it will be if I triple down. And this exact mindset is what throws women into stage 5. Remember, stage 4 requires patience and consistency. It requires restraint. It requires enough, not more. Because too much intensity is going to ultimately break your system. And I've learned that the hard way. Stage 5, the plateau and hormonal resistance. Now, stage 5 can feel a little bit like a betrayal and even like a personal attack. You've been consistent, you work so hard, and suddenly your progress slows down out of nowhere. This isn't a discipline issue. Not you losing motivation, it's simply biology. After months of training and caloric control, your cortisol can begin to elevate. Your recovery might lag depending on if you're even getting enough recovery. Your inflammation may tend to rise. Your body might switch from progress mode to protective mode. And this obviously depends on how intense you're training and obviously your nutrition as well. Now, I went through this stage so hard. I pushed so intensely, especially during stage 4, that I annoyingly drove myself into hormonal resistance. But the truth is, I was under-recovered, not necessarily under-disciplined. And if your diet hasn't completely gone off the rails, most women respond by tightening up more, training harder, slashing even more calories than they already have, and pushing themselves even more. But this only deepens the plateau. And the solution is actually quite counterintuitive. But to be honest, it's very essential. You need more carbs, better sleep, better recovery, not more restriction. And this stage is what separates long-term success from long-term burnout. Because when you actually start to repair your body properly, you can enter stage 6. Alright, stage 6 is the maintenance and refinement stages. This is where you're setting in those long-term sustainable habits. And stage 6 can be considered the lifestyle phase. And most women never experience it because they never understood the earlier stages. This is where your body becomes slightly more predictable, more stable. Your body weight tends to stay steady without you excessively obsessing if you know how to implement the habits during this stage. You can begin to enjoy food without spiraling because you know how to get back on track. Your hormone regulation begins to improve and your strength remains high. But stage 6 is not this coast forever stage. It's a stage that finally feels a little bit easier because you're working with your biology. And here's what women need to understand about stage 6. Your body has adapted now. Your muscle mass is a little bit stable now, and your metabolism has been trained. So the goal now becomes to refine, not reinvent. And this is what to do in stage 6 to actually maintain your results. You need to maintain your consistent lifting routine, whether that's 3 to 4 times a week, to preserve the muscle that you've worked so hard to build. You give yourself permission to enjoy more relaxed nutrition because your muscle tissue increases your metabolic flexibility. You cycle your intensity intentionally, and you're no longer training to fix your body. You're training to support the body that you actually built. So you begin to use your maintenance calories to regulate those hormones, prevent metabolic slowdown, and keep your energy, libido, and your sleep stable. You need to stay consistent with the basics, of course. Your protein, your strength training, fiber, and hydration. But now you stop micromanaging every calorie, every step, and every rep that you take. And this is where your body starts to feel like home again. When I actually reached the stage, everything started to click. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about the constant hustle, and it wasn't about doing more. It was simply about understanding which stage I was actually in and responding appropriately. And if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, but which stage am I currently in? I built a free quiz that I'll link down below to tell you exactly that. It identifies your metabolic pattern in about under 2 minutes. And it's accurate for high achieving women who tend to push their body a lot harder than they even realize. So if you want a clear starting point, take the quiz. It's linked in the description and the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video.